Hi everybody, Devinder here from Midland Property Investments with another episode of Property Question Time. Today I'm at the fantastic Devonshire Club as a guest of Nicole Bremner of East 8. Now, Nicole was a stay-at-home mum to an accidental developer.
Yes, that's right.
That's a new term I've heard recently.
Yeah.
To someone who's now developed properties over about £120 million worth of GDV.
That's right,
Would that be correct? So I just want to shake your hands and welcome.
Thank you for having me.
So Nicole, I've been following you on social media for some time now, you know, in the background, and then now actually actively liking your posts and trying to say hi. So I'm quite inspired by your journey and amazed at the same time, you know. So if we could go back to 2011, and if I'm right, you had 3 children and you were at home.
Yeah.
So how did you become an accidental developer?
Yeah. So how it happened is I'd renovated some properties before.
Yeah.
I'd renovated a ski chalet in Austria. I'd also done a 3-bed.
Right.
Anyway, a flat in central London.
Yeah.
And so I knew a little bit. My parents had always renovated their own properties or built their own properties as well.
Okay.
So it was it's something that I'd been exposed to.
Right.
But I really didn't know much about it
Myself.
Anyway, I was taking my children to nursery one day, and I was taking my children to nursery one day, and noticed a derelict vicarage in Hackney.
Okay.
So I
Well, this is live here.
yeah, we're all live.
Yeah.
So I bought this vicarage and spent the next 18 months renovating that.
Wow.
And so that was really I bought that in 2010. And that really was my very first taste of property developing, and I was really learning as I went along.
Okay.
18 months.
And did you find it hard? Well, great service at the Devonshire Club, so just to...
But I love a cup of tea here.
Yeah. And so, did you, with 3 children, did you find it hard? You know, because I know some developers and how hard they work. And how did you manage with 3 children?
Well, I started quite small and quite slowly at first. Right at the beginning, it was just my home.
Okay.
We renovated the basement, and then lived in the basement while we're renovating the upper floors.
Right.
So there were 5 of us crammed into this small flat down the bottom of my house.
Okay.
So I was there all day. I had my baby who I carried around in a carrier all day.
Oh right, you said baby pigeons, and then I had one of those as well. Yeah.
So it really was a matter of starting slowly.
Yeah.
And then in 2012, after I'd finished my home, that's when I looked at doing this professionally, and I realized that this is something I could do professionally. So I really did start off very slowly at first. It wasn't a rapid increase to I'm now working on 11 projects, and that's happened quite slowly, I guess, over the last 5.5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So is that Lenthal Road? Was that your first project?
That was my first one professionally. Yes.
Okay. Right. Okay. So obviously, we talk about it a bit later, but I read your book and how you had a sort of investor developer come on board. Is that his real name, or is that his?
No,
it is.
Yeah, that's his real name.
Okay. So, how did he come on board? You know, because if you don't mind me saying, you didn't have much experience at that time. Would that be correct? Yeah. So, you know, why would somebody? How did you meet him, and why did he decide to work with you?
Well, it's all down to to attract a large investor or for a developer to work with you. It comes down to 2 things.
Okay.
One's money, and the other's a site. And it's even better if you had both. So I had money and I had a site. So
right,
a friend of mine who lived in Singapore, he was going to purchase this property with me.
Yeah.
And on the day of exchange, or a couple of days before exchange, he decided that he had cold feet on the London market.
Right.
And he didn't want to do this anymore. So my architect, Amrita, she said, I've got someone who I think would be perfect.
Oh, Amrita, that's my daughter's name, by the way.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
It's a lovely name, and Amrita's a lovely person.
Yeah.
So she introduced me to Avi, and we met on site. He walked into the basement and looked around and went, yep, let's do it. And I'd never met him before.
Okay.
So then we spent the next couple of months, we exchanged on the property together.
Right.
And then we spent the next couple of months getting to know each other, going out for dinner with his wife and my partner, and just really fleshing out the terms of the arrangement.
Right, okay. So, you know, when you say you had money, so that's basically you had skin in the game.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, right, because you know, you've got to make it work, or you've lost all that money, whatever that may be.
Exactly. And back then I didn't even realize that developers like me could get bank finance.
Right.
So I was doing everything with cash.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I met Avi and he explained how bank finance worked that we got our first bank finance. So really it was a mentorship with him, if you want to give it a name, spanning over the last over 5 years now.
Right.
And I've just learned as I've worked with him.
So did he have development experience before? Or?
Oh yes.
He did. Okay.
Yeah, he's been doing this for over 30 years.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah, he's
definitely mentorship then, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he's much bigger than I am.
Right. Okay. So what makes an ideal investor partner, you think? What do you think? What makes it ideal?
Oh, I think that it's someone who has got more experience than you.
Okay.
Because that then allows you. Actually, no, that's not true. So either someone who has more experience is useful, because then you get to piggyback off their experience.
Right. Okay.
And learn along the way, like I did. But also someone with less experience can be very useful as well, because at the moment, for example, I'm working on 11 projects.
Right.
And
Okay.
I don't have time to do all those things. So by having someone that's perhaps really eager to learn and not as experienced, I can put them on a site and have them run the site for me, be my eyes and ears on the ground, and report back to me. And that again makes a very good investment partner.
Right.
It's not. Yes, it's nice to get cash from an investor, but sometimes it can be their time as well. Time
and experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So when did you? So we started off this term, accidental developer.
Yes.
I mean, I've heard of accidental landlord, and we've all been some probably at one time or another. When did you feel that you've want to become a professional developer, or you were a professional developer? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was soon after I'd finished my house that I was looking at what I could do with my life, and I tried. I think you probably read in the book.
Baking, photography,
crocheting, knitting, all sorts of different things.
Okay.
I did get to travel to New York and photograph and write about the High Line in New York, so I did get a couple of paid jobs.
Right.
But mostly it was, it just didn't make any money.
Right, okay.
And so that's when I sat down with my partner and said, look, what am I going to do? And he suggested property. It was his suggestion.
Okay.
And I thought, actually...
Is that Michael, was it?
Okay. Yeah, Michael. So I thought, well, yeah, this is something that I know something about.
Right.
And perhaps we can buy one house a year and renovate and sell, and it will supplement my
your previous previous income, which I think so. Very quickly, I know you used to have quite good jobs in the banking area. I know it's London and New York as well. Is that right?
Yes, I worked for Capital, which is a large fund manager in London.
Okay.
And then I worked for Goldman Sachs in New York briefly.
Right.
Yeah. Before having babies.
Right. Okay. And 3. Okay. Yeah. Did you were you there at the time of the crash in London, in New York?
My very first day was the 15th of September 2008, which is the day that Lehman Brothers went down.
Is it? Have you watched Wolf on Wall Street?
I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to.
It's similar kind of. Well, actually, it's not.
By the time this comes out, I will have watched Wolf on Wall Street.
Sorry, I was completely similar. No, it's not similar at all. But there is a thing where he becomes a investor, and the first day of his job, everything goes down. He goes, but the rest is not similar, by the way.
No,
so,
I know. I've heard about it.
Oh, right, okay.
It definitely wasn't like that when I was there.
So you felt that you were a professional developer, and I also know that you didn't go on courses, do you think like that? Okay. So and you learned on the job. Is that correct? Would that be correct?
It's correct, and that's not the case for everyone. I think that there probably are some very good courses out there. I've not looked personally. I've not needed to. For me, because I was able to partner with Avi, it meant that I didn't need to do any further education.
Right.
There were definitely times where I felt like I needed to learn more.
Okay.
But for me, I was able to pick up the phone and say, hey, what do you think about this? How does this work? How do HMOs work? How does commercial finance work? How does how do all these things work? And I could just shadow along with him, or talk to him, and he would educate me.
Right.
So for me, it was very much on the job rather than courses. But I'm not. There are some courses out there which are excellent. Yeah. I don't know about.
I think you missed it. I think you passed that right now. I think probably.
Yeah. Now I'm educating rather than being educated.
So as well as I don't know what you do on social media, I also picked up your book. Breaking It by available all good stores.
Yes, on Amazon. Yeah.
And tell me sort of what inspired you to write a book, and what message you want to give out to everybody?
What it was is, on a daily basis, I get asked, how should I start in property, and how did you start in property, and what are your tips? Right. And I was at an event once, and this girl came up to me and said, why don't you write a book, and then you don't have to keep explaining this anymore. You can just say, well, actually go to my book. And so that's why I wrote it. And it is very much how I did it. I'm not saying that this is the right way. You're telling your story, your journey. It's my journey. And it's not the right way. There's so many, as the saying goes, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And there are so many ways, but this is how I did it. And this is what worked for me. And even last night, I was going through 3 months of LinkedIn messages. And I would say half of the hundreds, there were hundreds. Half of them
probably me as well, buddy. Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I get to them eventually. But half of them were, how should I start out? What tips do you have? Can you meet me for coffee and talk me through this? And now I can say, I've got my book. Read that. If someone can't afford it, I'm happy to send it to them. This is not a money-making experience for me. And also, we've got my Facebook page, which we're very active on. We've got lots of educational information on there. We've got our YouTube channel. We've got our podcasts. We've got a lot of content that we
already
produce,
out there.
Out there. So for me, it was just about, it was a branding, but it was also educating people on how I did it and how it might work for them.
I think, you'd be surprised. I was actually talking to him also, listening to his podcast. There was a millionaire. He said similar kind of thing to you. People ask him all the time, and he said, look, read this and then come back to me. But 95% of people won't read it.
They won't read it. No.
So that they will waste your time anyway. But if somebody does read it, then at least it's a possible JV for you in the future as well. It's somebody that will follow you, perhaps.
Yeah, that's right.
So that came out about 2 years ago, I think.
No. It just was released in October last year.
Wow. It's still wet.
Exactly. But I'm writing my second one now. It's about a quarter of the way through.
Right. So. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's called?
It's called, the working title at the moment is Prolific Not Perfect.
Prolific Not Perfect.
Yeah.
A bit like this video, by the way, my YouTube channel.
That's right, yeah. Prolific Not Perfect. It's the way forward.
Right.
And really, it is the story of, in the last 12 months, how I was able to go from having very few followers across social media to now being what I've coined as a nano influencer.
Right, okay, right.
Where I'm starting to have some amazing opportunities coming our way.
Right.
And that's all off the back of the social media activity that and the content and the value that we're providing people.
Okay, because people do say, that, oh God, I'm doing all this, but nothing's happening yet. So what advice do you give to people who maybe, attempt a little bit of social media, and you know that you just do a little bit of social media, because I studied also Grant Cardone, and the way he does it, he's prolific as well. He's, you know, so but what would you say to people? Look, you say I've tried it, nothing happened yet. What would you say to them?
Well, I'd say they haven't tried enough.
Right, okay.
You have to dedicate at least 15 minutes, 15 to 60 minutes a day, just being prolific.
Right, yeah.
And even if you feel that no one is looking at your content, keep going, because slowly it builds. And I was just saying to Marina this morning that I'm getting at least 250 net, because Instagram's a bit of a game.
Is it? Oh, right, okay. I'm not Instagram. Actually, I am, but I don't know how I got in there, but yes, I am on there.
It's a game. There's this whole follow-unfollow game, which drives me insane, but I'm getting 250 new net followers a week.
Right, okay.
They don't come unless you've got interesting, valuable content that you're providing to them. So it's just about getting that out there, and if you are providing that content, then people are going to follow you. So, you know, some people feel that, and I felt it myself at the start, I've got nothing to say really. So, you know, I don't talk about what I had for tea, which is not content. How does somebody who hasn't got into the game, does that make sense, at the start? How do you start?
What can you start doing, maybe just to get a bit of a following? And I think, what would you suggest? It's all about stories. So for you today, for example, you've got this big day in London planned. Story that, rather than just posts. Anyone can post. Right, okay. It's about weaving through a story. So let's just say you, as an example today, you would have gotten up, caught a train to London, had some breakfast, you've got some interesting people you're about to meet, you could social that, but not as a, hey, this is my breakfast, and hey, what you do is you say, I'm on my way to London, I've got a really exciting day, follow on my journey, and let's see who I'm talking to, something like that. And then you're sitting there drinking your cup of tea on the train, and all the scenery is flashing by, and then you're here at the Devonshire Club, which is a beautiful club. You can say, hey, I'm now here at the Devonshire Club meeting with Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Hi, Nicole. Hi. And then have a look around, show people around. Your next meeting's in Soho, so you can then talk about how you're about to get on the train and see what you mean, see how you're then creating a story. And you think about the reality TV now, it's all about weaving in this story. People are fascinated with other people's stories. People want to know what you do in a day. Wow, okay. That's right. So it's about weaving through these stories. If I ask you